So yesterday we have come across few of the elements, right, regarding the HTML, like the selection elements, which are like one kind of form elements only. They are, which are little different from the input elements. Did you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. So today we'll talk about that only, but in a little different way. And I mean, a little more information about the form elements. Hmm. Yesterday, I think we have started label also, right? Label element.
Label element, no ideas.
No?
We did
Okay.
like
Yeah.
putting name type again.
Okay. Okay. Not an issue. Let me start the label element now. Hmm. So going back to our example. Now, I think in the yesterday's example of form tags, we have completed the select element, which is used to display the drop downs. Then if I use a multiple attribute on this select element, then I can select like what you call, I can choose multiple options from among the options that get displayed on the screen. If I don't use this multiple option, then only I can select one of the option that is available in the drop down. So this is about the select element. Now, then we have seen the file input option where we'll get a like a box kind of thing or a upload kind of button kind of thing. If you click on that button or what we call this submit option, then whatever the file you select from your or your computer, that will be uploaded. But we have seen that we don't have any of the backend code yet ready, so this will fail when we submit. Until we submit, it will work. Suppose if I click on this upload, 1 second, let me write a br here. Br. Hmm. Okay, so it got it. Next one. No. Click on choose file. If I choose file, then I can select one of the option. Then I can choose the file. Then I can click on upload. But when you click upload, in the back end, it will go to the from our browser. It will ask search for the send message file, which it thinks that send message is the backend code to support this front end HTML code. But we don't have any Java, PHP, or Apex kind of code in the backend. It will not work for now. Okay, so this is all about yesterday's class. Then I think we started the yes label. Yeah. Here you see the label. Let me tell it again. If you see it, and if you go back here, if I reload it, see what you are seeing, what you are supposed to see, just two boxes, and in the boxes there is a placeholder. Enter your name. There is a placeholder. Type your password. But I don't want in that way. Let me write here BR. Now, what I do is I tell that there is a label. There is a label. Inside this label, inside this label, I'll write a text now. I'll write a text inside this label. 1 second. Username. So like this, I'll write. Then inside this label element, I will place my input element. Now, till now input element was individual, but I want to do labeling. I want to do some kind of a labeling to this input element called username. So what I am doing is I am writing like this, some kind of information here for this label. I mean the like a name I'm giving externally to display on the user. User interface UI. So there is a difference, right? Before it was only this box, now it is this one. Label is used to give some kind of labeling or naming to display on the UI to any of the input. Now it's our same applies here. If you want for a password also one kind of label, what do you do? Label, then inside that password, you can type, then inside that label only we have to place our input elements. So if you don't place this input element now, this label will be upset, means it is not sure on which the label you are applying. So if you want to do labeling for any of the inputs, then this input should be placed inside this label only. This is the rule you have to follow. Are you getting this point? Clear? What is
Yeah.
label? Now, you know attributes. For every label, we will be having one or two attributes that should be used to make the label, to make the element more functional. Same applies to the label element also. Label element, now what we are doing? Suppose this is the input element. This is the input element, like type password. Uh, then this is the input element. Now to give a label to this input element, I am taking this input element and placing inside this label element. Means I am nesting. Label element is on the top, and inside that label element, I have the input element. This is the structure I am using. Label element, then inside that input element. I don't, this is not the like a actual like a rule to write a code on HTML. What HTML says is use label like this. Label, then use attribute called for. Use attribute called for, and in that attribute give the ID of the element, ID of the input element. ID of the input element is, I'll let you know now. Now let us say that email. Let us say that email. Then I'll type. I will type some kind of text here. Email. Then I'll close it. Then this for attribute, what I have given here, I am given top here top, but inside this radio option, inside this radio input option, I have a input called, I have an input called input type called radio, and the name is gender and the value is female. Now what I am doing is I want to give name to this, like I am given labeling right to the password and to the text. I want to use the labeling for this, what we call for this radio option. Oh, how I can do is, we have seen right the, did you remember the ID? id equals to, that is the id to will give to specify each element. I think last time we have seen while talking about the links, this one, this section, I have a ID section 8. Did you remember that? So this section I have a ID. So this ID, if I point it somewhere in the links, then someone clicks here, then they will be navigated to that ID. So ID is nothing but you group certain elements and give that ID. This is what we have learned in that class. Now, what I am telling is, even, not in this, sorry. Even each element can also have a ID. Each element also can have a ID. Paragraph can have a ID, input can have a ID. So like that. Now I am using ID attribute on the input. Then I will mention that female. Now this female attribute, what I have mentioned here, that I am copying and pasting in my fur attribute, which I have given on the top. Now let's see how it works. Can you see here? There is a female. Now, what happening? Let's see. What's happening? Let's see. This is female attribute, right? Where it is? Here it is. If I click on this female attribute, what happening here? Can you see? Now, if I click on this female attribute, this is taking this radio option. Why? I associated wherever it is, wherever it may be, but I have associated this fur attribute with the ID of the female option on the radio button. Means we are linking this label with this input by using fur attribute in the label element, ID attribute on the input element. So this is how we use the fur attribute. Wherever you can write, suppose I'll write here male, suppose male option, and we'll say here male option, and text is female, male and female, same as this. So we'll give a ID here. We'll give a ID to the first option as well. ID is mandatory because how I can know this is pointing to this only, which is the help of ID attribute. So ID attribute I am typing here male option, like this is the ID I am using. I can give any ID. I mean any name. Now, okay. So this label will point to this one. Sorry, this label will point to this input. This label will point to this input. So this is how it is linked. Now let me save it. Let me enter BR. So if you click on this female, you are clicking somewhere, but this radio option is changing. See, if I click on male, this is changing. If I click on female, this is changing. How is this possible? Because we have linked these labels with these inputs by using fur and ID attributes. Clear? Not clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So
The one which we gave just beside the password option is female, right? Is that label?
which one?
Like in the
This,
next
this
the
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is label. Label, this is label. You see here, right? This is label.
Yeah.
This fur is nothing but linking attribute. Like you are linking this this label, or this female label with this, I mean, with this input. How you are linking? With the help of ID attributes. Okay. ID attribute you are going to use an element, input element, that whatever the element name, element ID you have given here, you will copy here and paste it here on the for attribute, because you are telling this label female you use for this input. So whenever someone clicks on this female on the UI, you point them to the actual option, like that. Clear?
Okay.
No. No.
No, in the previous page, beside the password option, we got female option right there. Yeah.
That I entered BR and change it to next line now.
Okay.
This is what that one, but I entered the BR so that I can get it in a new line.
Yeah, break.
Okay.
BR means break only, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's clear. Now let me. So this is the another example. So what's 1 second? Huh? Why this example open? Oh, this I opened overall example. What is happening, man? Okay. Now, so this labeling is clear. We'll talk about one example called field, one thing called field set. Field set. I'll take an example here. I'll comment rest of the code. I'll comment rest of the code. Now, the code which I'm going to see is this one. Now, I'll explain you. Don't worry. What is the form one tag? Something there is. Sorry. ht.html. Now it is HTML code. Can you see the difference here? Like before also we have the inputs, but now the inputs are like looking in a more appropriate way. You have grouped them, right? What you have done? Just you have grouped them. Can you see here? These two inputs are text boxes that I have grouped under the personal information caption. Now this payment detail caption is for these two inputs. How is this possible? This grouping is possible with the help of element called field set. Whenever you apply whenever you apply field set, then this field set will group all the labels or all the inputs inside this field set under one group. And the name of this group can be given by the element called legend. Legend attribute, legend element gives the name or heading to the group, and you can do grouping with the help of field set. Clear? Just a simple concept, not a complicated concept. Whatever you can have labels or inputs, you can group them with the help of field set element, and the caption or the heading to that group can be given by the legend element. Whatever the information you type here, whatever the information you type here, oh, what happened?
Why is it named as legend?
Legend is nothing but it's like a caption, the heading. You
Okay.
you give it to the group, whatever the group you form using this field set. That field set can have the name called personal information. I mean this whatever you can see here, right? That
Yeah.
is nothing but legend for this group. That grouping you can do with the help of field set.
Okay.
Okay, so that you it will be more clear to understand.
Okay.
So this is done. Now, okay, let me talk about two more things and we'll close HTML. Hmm. So, one second, one second. Did you remember the ID attribute just now we have seen? ID attribute is used on the elements. In this example, we are using ID attributes on the input element, so that this ID attribute, whatever I am specifying the ID, I can use in the for attribute of label element, so that this label can point to, can be assigned, can be associated with this input element. This is the use case of ID attribute. This is one of the use case of the ID attribute on any of the element. Also, we can have the ID attribute. Second, let me comment this code. Now let me uncomment another example, uncomment another example. One minute. This is a miss. Now, so this example will not be like very easy to understand for you, but just to try to understand that the ID on what you have used till now on the input element, right? Even you can use this ID attribute on the paragraph also. Why we can use and what is the use case, we'll see. But try to understand that not only on the input elements, you can use the ID attribute, but also on the other elements also. This ID attribute is called a global attribute because you can use this ID attribute on any of the HTML element. You can use this ID attribute on any of the HTML element. Why we use this ID attribute on any of the element is for CSS, for styling, or for scripting, JavaScript. So JavaScript will see. JavaScript is like a one kind of coding only. So it is used in the front end technologies that we'll be going to learn very soon. So what this do is it will get the value of the any element. It will get the any element. It will access the any element because in HTML there will be hundreds of elements. How to point out each element? How to give? How to go to each element? There should be some ID, unique ID for each element. So then we can point to this element from anywhere in the styling or CSS or JavaScript by using the ID of that element. Suppose if you see in the example, this is small code of JavaScript that document.get element by ID is a function I'm using. We'll see what is this all. But what I'm supposed to tell is I can access, I can point to any of the element in the HTML by the ID I have given to it. If there is no ID, if I write parag P here, what paragraph I am accessing? There is hundreds of paragraph. What paragraph I am accessing? So that will be difficult. Now that is the reason we use IDs, that their IDs are like a rule numbers to the students, like a rule numbers to the elements. So you will be having specific ID for each of the element. So whenever if someone asks you the value of this element, then I can access that element by their ID. Clear? ID attribute. We will see how it is used in the style sheets and JavaScript, but ID attribute is the attribute that is a global attribute. It can be used on any of the element, and that is used to make each element unique in the HTML document, so that I can point to any of the element by using its ID. Now, this ID should be unique for each element. No two elements should have the same ID. If that is the case, again there is a confusion. If someone from the JavaScript or CSS styling, if some code from anywhere pointing to this element, if there are two email inputs with the same ID, suppose if I use email here, now if I am changing, if I am accessing this value, then how should I access? Which ID, which element I am trying to access? Either this element or either this element. That is the issue. So this is how this is like how the ID works. ID should be unique for each of the element. Clear? Not clear?
Clear.
Yeah. So ID attribute is unique for each element. Now I have told this as a rule number given to each student, let's say. Now there is a situation, there is a scenario where not only one element, you have to point to 5 elements at a time, 6 elements at a time, or 100 elements at a time. Like in the class of students, sorry, in the school with the number of students, how you will be categorizing the students initially? You will be categorizing the students initially on the basis of their class or their standard, ninth class, 10th class, like that. Now once you make them into a class, then you will make them having some kind of ID, some kind of ID. Now this ID, you know that each student will have a unique ID. But there is a situation, there is a scenario now in the same example. There is a like a group of students put together in the same class. Now class is like grouping the students and giving them the name. And ID is that giving a unique name to each of the student. So there is similar kind of uh, like a concept in the HTML, that we can use class. Class can be used on, so 1 second. Same class can be used on different elements. Means different elements can have same class name, but each element should have unique rule number or ID attribute. Clear? Not clear? Use cases we will see. Okay. Let ask Pooja.
No,
Okay, clear?
it's
Oh,
clear.
okay. Okay, we will end this HTML. This is all about HTML. Now it's up to us to practice. So before I jump into the CSS, there is a question asked, I think, by Sai Teja on the starting day of this HTML, that what is the use case of this doc type HTML? Doc type HTML. Let me tell you now. in the Android, if you see, or iOS, if you see, there are versions, right? There are versions. Now, version 1, version 2, like that. Now, iOS 17 version or 16 version means that software, whatever the code in the backend of your mobile applications that are using the version iOS 15, iOS 14, like that. That same concept applies to HTML because HTML is also a software. It is also a programming language. So this is for HTML5 version. Means whatever the code I have written here is like can be like used in the HTML5 version. Now suppose there is a requirement that this code should run on a browser which is the old browser, like which is using HTML4 or HTML3. In that case, we will be using a different heading here. Doc type HTML will say public. So like this, public, then you will write some kind of a W, like some kind of information again here, W3SC, like that. Means this whatever you are mentioning here in this doc type is something you are telling to the browser. What is browser? It is a software, this browser, right? In the browser only we are running the code. So whatever you are typing here or whatever you are seeing here, that is belonging to the document which is of version HTML5. So instead of telling doc type HTML5, we say doc type HTML. This means this is a HTML5 version. Doc type is used for that. If you write only HTML, it is HTML5. HTML public, then some kind of additional links or some kind of additional text here, then it is public or for. Like that, we have different naming convention for each of the doc types, for each of the versions of the HTML. Clear, Sai?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go back to our starting example. Starting example. Headings. Okay. Now let me make this example more like a beautiful kind of thing using CSS. Okay. So 1 second.
Are we going to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, we are done with HTML now.
Yes, we are done with HTML. CSS will not be used like in a different way, like it is like styling, just to style the text. See, if in the UI, suppose there is a UI here. Now,
Is it an abbreviation? What is full form of CSS?
cascade, what we call styling. 1 second. Even I have confusion on that.
It's okay.
Because we rarely use the CSS. Let me recall.
Styling sheets, something.
Cascade styling sheet. Yeah. So now before that, if this is how it looks, right? This is how it looks initially. I mean, without any styling. Now what we do is we apply some kind of styling now here. Go back to the example. Then in the head section, you write element called style. Then in the element style, sorry, and the element style. Then you write something called type here, text, or this is like a text or CSS. You are mentioning that this style is like a This element is for styling. Now, 1 second. Now, here what I'm supposed to do is H1. I'll explain this one. H1. Color. RGB. Oh, 5, 55, 55. I'll explain this one. Okay, let me save it and let me see. There is no change. I mean, like if you see here, there is nothing that much like you are observing. Why? Because where is H1? Do you see H1? H1 is here. It changed to white now. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
So it's changed to white. Now this is like a what, 1 second. This is a no Visual Studio Code. So this option I have to choose the color directly here. Definitely you will not get this option in any of the notepad or something. You have to definitely mention here. This is like a code for each of the color. We have these codes RGB, red, green, blue values. So depending on that only the color will be visible. So this is not like a coding. This is like a basic concept that for any of the color to display on the any monitor, even the TV monitor, phone monitor, there are some RGB values. That RGB values you can choose. Then only the mixture of that RGB ratios will display certain color. So if you see here, can you see the change? Now I apply the same here, H2, comma, H3. So if I do here, if I save it here, these 3 colors are changed. Now again, I'll copy this one. Now after copying this one, I'll paste it here. Then instead of this one, I'll write H4, H5, H6 to have a different color. Different color. Then again, if you see here, the color is changed. Now there is paragraph here. Even paragraph I want to change. This is the paragraph element. I want to change the paragraph element color. So P, then bracket open, then color. I'll take, then you type R, let us take red, just red. Even I can type this one just as a red. Instead of this RGB combination, I can only choose red. So this is how you apply styles to the HTML documents to make the UI look beautiful. That's it. Nothing much apart from this. The use of CSS. Not only color, there are like fonts also you can decide. Suppose this is a paragraph, no? Now what I'm supposed to do is font family. In this font family, I want to choose. There are multiple forms. So I use something called Arial. Then let's see how it looks. See, the font changed. So this is how you change the content characteristic or content nature. How that is possible? With the help of CSS. Now what CSS content? This is called selector. Suppose if you take this as an example, This P is nothing but selector, means to which element I am supposed to apply the changes. That comes on the selector part. Now, once you do selecting, this complete thing is called declaration. Means you are declaring some kind of nature or styling to this selected element. This is a selector. Then this comes into the like what we call a declaration. Now in this, whatever this is you're assigning, right? This is called property. I mean, which property you are using? What property you are using? Font family as a property. Then what is the value I'm supposed to give? Arial. Here color property. Then color value is red. This is a value. So one second. In CSS styling, what we'll do is we'll select a property or we'll select a element, not property. We'll select a element. Then inside this element, we will be having a declaration. What are the nature I'm going to change for that property? Sorry, for that element. Now P selected, then I have some kind of characteristics changing for this P element. Font family. Okay, font family as a property. I'm changing the value to Arial. Then color, I'm giving it as a red. Same. These are all the proper elements. These are this is nothing but a selector, and in this selector, I am giving the declaration. What kind of declaration I'm doing? Changing the property color to the value green or based on this RGB combination. Clear? Questions?
No. Should the flower bracket open and close all the time? Is
Yes,
this
yes,
mandatory?
yes. This is completely a declaration. Declaration should start and close. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
What are these numbers beside 59, 108, 75?
yeah, actually, the computers, not this is for HTML, CSS or anything. Whatever the colors you are seeing, na, even in the real time, in our childhood days, like in our intermediate like that, we have seen the spectrum, right? Spectrum, like even the
Yeah.
rainbow, that spectrum. In that spectrum, we are able to see the color, a particular color, because that color is not a individual color like a white. It is a combination of certain colors, right? It is a
Yeah.
combination. It is made up of. Suppose even in the painting, if you mix 2 or 3 colors on certain ratio, you form a different color. So what computers have accepted is RGB are the primary colors. By the mixture of these colors, RGB, red, green, blue, only forms all the different colors. So what they have done is in the painting, how you do the ratio, 50% green, 50% red, then 100% green, then 70% blue. If you apply in the painting, then you get a certain different color. So like this, based on the ratio, of this green, red, then green, then blue, you get a particular color. Are you getting my point? Suppose if I do 0, then green is also 0, 100% blue, then what is this? Blue. Got it?
Okay.
This is not like coding. It's like a basic concept of how the colors we see generally. Okay?
Okay.
No. It is turned to green now. Okay. Now, this is clear. What I do is I share a notes. CSS is not that important, but it is important to understand, to look the code. If someone asks you, there will be no such requirements, but always knowing all the features is very helpful. So I want this in a blue color. This is this. Suppose there will be a warning. Suppose I go to the some trial head. Now this option I want in blue color. This option I want in orange color. So this text I want in this font. This font is not a normal font. It is different font, right? This font is different. And these colors are different. So how can you do that? Now this is a box. This is a box. This is a box. So I need this box in particular dimension. And so how can we do that? That is with the help of CSS. CSS will change the color, change the size, change the font, everything. Complete styling can be done with the help of a CSS. Content can be managed with the HTML. Styling is managed by the CSS. Okay. So CSS will be very easy. It is not complicated. The only thing you have to remember is how to use it. So we have seen this one. Now let me make this more like a kind of complicated. In the P attribute of H3, under this H3 tag, what I do is I use ID attribute. ID equals to some kind of what ID, suppose let me take red one. This is just an ID. ID can be anything. Just to make this like understandable for you, what is the use of ID attribute? I am taking this one. Not even red. Let us take unique text or my text. This is very clear. My text. Copy this ID attribute. Now, how to use this ID attribute in CSS? Let's see. Now, in this, again, ID is nothing but hashtag. We have to use. This is the ID. Now, open this. Then in that, you type color not red. Just let us take color RGB. In that RGB, let us take some kind of color. Okay. Let's see. So till now, if this is not there, what happened? All the paragraphs are changed to red. Am I right? Now, I have made one of my paragraph having the ID, my text. Now this paragraph, I want to display in the blue. So if I go to the, can you see here? How can I do that? How can I make this paragraph unique from all the rest of the paragraphs? That is with the help of an ID attribute. ID I have given, this ID I have taken. I make a CSS selector for that. What is the selector? By taking the hash, I told there is a ID in my HTML document with my text, then change that color to this one.
Okay.
Clear?
So this CSS is helpful for making some highlights, right?
Highlights, styling.
Okay.
So as I forgotten the name, Cascade styling sheets. These are styling sheets. Now, clear? Any questions?
Yeah.
Okay. This is one scenario. Now, suppose in all this file, there are 1, 2, 3, almost 15 files of my HTML document, right? Now, for every file, I copy this, go to this and paste it here. I copy this, go to the another element and paste it there. That is complicated, right? Like it is waste of my time. This all HTMLs will have HP, H1, H2, this all. But I don't want to copy each and go to each and every file and copy the content here and make this style applicable to this file. What I can do is I can create some kind of file here. Now let me create that one. My styles, styles. Then in the styles dot, this is a CSS. Now it was HTML for HTML. Now it is CSS. I created the style sheet. Then in this style sheet, I copied this code. Now this is the code. This is the code. What is this code? CSS code, where we have selectors and like a property and the values for headings, paragraph, and if there is any ID in any of the HTML with the name called my text, then that will be blue color. This is what I have done. Now let's see how I can see this. This is okay. For this one, I am able to see. But let me open another one. Let me open another file. Let me open another file. Links tags. Links tags also having paragraphs and headers, right? Links tags example in our old classes. So even these have headings. Let's see if this is, I have mentioned here now. I have taken the file common for all this. So whether this is applicable or not, let's see. Click on go live. No, still they are in the black color only. These are links. Links will be blue color. Don't worry about that. But normally H1, H2, whatever we have mentioned, the paragraph should be red, red, and this heading should be on a different color. No, that is not the case. How then? I don't want to do again here. I don't want to copy this here. So instead of copying now there is a possibility that I can do link. I can do link using a element called link in the head tag only. In the starting class also I have told link head tag is used to link the CSS files to this HTML file. So link href reference, you know, the path. Where is the file now? That file is in the same folder. The file is in the same folder with a name called my styles dot CSS. This is the file name. Now, what is the type of this file? I have to tell it. It is text or CSS we will be mentioning. Then what is the relation between this one and that and this HTML? What is the relationship between this HTML and this CSS? This CSS file will be used as a style sheet. We have to, these are like a rules, attributes. We have to mention to use that CSS file in this HTML. So then close this tag. Now is this applicable? Did I write this like this? Did I write like this? I mean, one second. Did I write like this? No, right? I have kept this all the CSS code in one file. That file I have linked to the HTML where I want to use it. This is called externally accessing or using the CSS. Now, this is externally accessing. Before that, we have seen heading tags, right? That is internally using internal CSS. Okay. This is internal CSS that is possible with the style element and the same content. If there is a if you want to use this CSS in different files, then make this CSS as a separate file and write the code CSS code in that. Then go to the any of the file. Then suppose we have taken the example of links, then just link it, telling that there is a file called mystyles.css in my folder. Use it to do styling for this total HTML. So again, same, if I want to use this one in any other thing, again, fundamental tags, you go, this is already there. Let me, so like this you mentioned, or to go to the project, even there is nothing here, then click on this one. So again, if I link it, I didn't write any of the HTML code. Whatever the CSS code, whatever the CSS code there is in this file, that I have linked here with the help of link element, using the href as a path of the file. Type is a text or CSS. I will mentioning the relationship between this HTML and the CSS is this is the style sheet. So then click on go live. Clear. This is about the CSS and internal, external.
Where are you clicking to go live?
Here in the bottom. This is possible in the Visual Studio Code only.
Okay.
Now today I'll share the link to you. So from tomorrow you will be using definitely the Visual Studio Code. So install it on your PCs. For HTML, I want to make sure that not only Visual Studio Code, you can write it in any of the editors. But JavaScript also you can write it there. But it is always preferable to use this tool. This is IDEs for you. I mean, development environments. These are the development environments. Even companies will ask you, do you know what are the development environments you used till now? So we'll be telling, I used Visual Studio Code or just Visual Studio, like that, or IntelliJ. There are Eclipse, like that. The basic one is Notepad, because Notepad doesn't require any high space. If you see the size of this Visual Studio Code, it will be almost 500 MB. The download itself will be having 100 MB. But that is like a 5 MB or 6 MB. That is like a small.
I tried opening that Visual Studio page, but it didn't open.
Visual Studio Code you have installed?
Yeah.
The community version?
From the development console something.
Console. Developer console will Visual Force your page, Visual Force page.
Yeah.
Okay. That is different. This is different. This is Visual Studio.
Okay.
This is like a tool. That is like a HTML. That is like a what coding. This is not coding. Here I can do HTML coding, CSS coding. Even I can write a JavaScript coding. I can do any kind of coding here.
Okay.
This is like a tool. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a tool which is different. That is different. Clear? Any questions on this CSS?
No.
So there is different styling. Suppose if I see here again, go to my CSS style. For the paragraph, what I do is, for the paragraph, or
do you remember all these things in the main actual job, or
no, you don't need to remember. No, not needed. Just see, while you keep on using if someone asks you change the font, you don't go to Google and search for font family.
Okay.
You know already yesterday or day before yesterday you have used, so you will be using that one. So it's like a practice only.
Okay.
No need to remember everything. Just because you are not going to write an exam on CSS, at the end of the day, you are going to write an exam on Salesforce and give the interview on Salesforce. In the interview, in the job, what you will be seeing is this one, not in the interviews or not in the exams. Okay. The client will be asking the requirements on this, so you know that okay, CSS is there to help me style it, so you know that in the mind. So you go to Google and type this one, I want a blue color, then this blue color combination will be given to you on the Google itself. So like that. Okay. It is like knowing the use case is very important, not the complete definition and examples.
Okay.
Now let me use another attribute. Another what we call 1 second, body. Body selector means I'm selecting complete body now, not H, not P. This body, I tell that use the background color attribute property, and make it as some kind of this color. Okay, let's see how it looks now. Oh, what happened? Refuse to connect. Sorry, it stopped. Sorry. Go live, stop. Not this one. Let me, where is my project? Yeah, project on HTML. Now click on go live. Okay, complete body now. Now let me do some more magic on this. Where is my CSS file? Yeah, CSS file. Now let me change the paragraph's background color. Let me copy this, paste it, this property here. Instead of this Aquarian, let's select not red, black. Change it, right? Now, today what we learned? Color we learned, background color we learned, font family we learned. So like that, you keep on practicing, you keep on typing, then you'll get to know more properties.
If we want to change a body, we should open the flower bracket. We'll we'll type background color, and we'll select the color.
Yes. So even for the body, I can change the complete font now. Font family equals to some. I select one of the option. Then if I go here, the font is changed completely. Can you see here? Now I can even control the size here, the font size. Suppose let's take this paragraph. My text has not my text. Okay, let me change all the paragraph size. Font family, font size. Then let us make more larger again the paragraph. Can you see here? So like this, there are number of attributes. Not one attribute you have a number of attributes. All about the attributes is keep on doing, keep on practicing. Opacity, border size. So like that, you have multiple attributes. When you keep on practicing, you'll get it. It's not like you can remember in one day. HTML is all about elements. CSS is all about properties. This is property, this is property, this is property. Values you will be remembering definitely. There will be a number of values you can't remember actually. So there are number of fonts. Just you can remember is this one. you'll be asked actually in the there is a something called as for any project there is a first initial document. So initial document on initial requirement they will mention you how it should look on the screen, how it should not look, what is the color that should be looking, what is the size. So they all will be mentioned in the initial document only. That is a client requirement. According to the client requirement you will code it. Okay, don't worry about CSS a lot. CSS you have to understand, not remember actually. This is what I believe. Whatever I do in my job is not remembering everything. Just I will understand. Okay, if someone asks me to change the text color or something, I know where it can be changed. I go to the CSS file associated with that HTML elements, then go to that particular element ID, then change it. That's it. Okay, clear?
Yeah.
Now, this is all about CSS. See, from where to where we got. Before 3 days, we are able to type only this one. Now, we have developed the website, which is looking little cool. Now, the next task on us is, I click on send, then something should work now. This is my next task now. Okay, I developed the front end, I had done the styling. Now backend code, if I submit the form, where it is going, who is handling this code, the controller, who is the controller for this front end application, that I have to learn and I have to implement. Then we can say that we are the full stack developers. What is full stack? In the market, in the Instagram or somewhere you see in the YouTube, full stack development, full stack. What is full stack development? Someone who knows front end and back end. Those are called as full stack. We know HTML, CSS, that means we know half of the front end. If we know JavaScript, that will be a full front end. If we know the Apex, Java, or Node.js in the back end, which is the controllers for this front end, then we call it as a back end programmers. If we combine this, it's a full stack developer. So Salesforce is like a full stack development. You develop front end, you develop back end. In real time, there will be a team who will be working on the front end, different persons, and the back end, different persons. So we are not sure on which project or which task you will be working on the back end or which task you will be working on the front end. That is the reason in Salesforce, we always believe whoever knows full stack development on the Salesforce, those will be the perfect developers. Clear?
Yeah.
No. I'll take 5 minutes of break. Then we'll come back. We have learned a lot of coding. Now let's go back to our Salesforce. We have left our Salesforce since 3 days. So we'll go back to Salesforce and start recalling few of the things. And it is highly recommended you complete the task which I have given yesterday. All of you. Okay, because in that there is a third section called junction object. That question is for sure in the any exam, certification exams or any of the interview. Junction object will be for sure. We have to learn relationships, right? The lookup relationship, master detail relationship. So this junction object is related to that relationships. How it is used, why it is used, we have to understand. Okay. Okay, I'll come back in 5 minutes.